Hi, I'm Alan Cylinder. This is my daughter Chelsea Cylinder. We're Cylinder. And we're at the Jersey Shore today. A perfect place to review Jersey Boys. Jersey Boys is the film version by Clint Eastwood of the hit Broadway musical that's been running on Broadway for 9 years and won a Tony Award for its star, who is also the star of this movie, John Lloyd Young. And it also won a Tony Award for Best Musical. It's a tremendous show. Clint Eastwood has turned it into a non-musical. And on that level, it's a fairly entertaining movie. But I went to a screening of this initially wanting to see a movie musical because it is being advertised as the film version of the Broadway show. And while it's very similar to the book of the show in terms of what happens to the characters, it's very non-musical, and it should have been a real movie musical. And there's no reason for it not to have been, except that Clint's decision was to just emphasize the story. And when I saw this play on Broadway, my inclination was that this was a musical that Martin Scorsese could have brought to the screen marvelously. And I always hoped that he would be the director chosen. Instead, Clint was chosen. Didn't seem to me like a terrible choice because Clint really has an appreciation for music. He did a tremendous job with Bird, which is probably my favorite of all the movies he directed. So I expected him to have some real reverence for the music to be found in Jersey Boys, and instead it seemed like he had none. The music is just a simple aside. He interrupts lots of good musical numbers with dialogue where you want to hear the song, and instead of hearing the song, you'll hear snippets of the song followed by long periods of dialogue. This is not how to make a movie musical. In the movie itself, there are 4 songs that he leaves alone that you actually hear straight through. Otherwise, everything is fragmented, and I was very perturbed by this on first viewing. I walked out of there so disappointed I couldn't believe it. I went to a second screening of the film a couple of days later because actually my daughter wanted to see the film, and knowing what to expect, I liked the film considerably more. But it's still not a movie musical, and what I wanted was a movie musical.
Okay, I'm going to have to disagree a little bit. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would actually go as far as to say that I loved this movie. I enjoyed everything about it. I do understand what you're saying about how I think that too many of the songs were disrupted and there was dialogue when there didn't need to be. But at the same time, I don't really think Jersey Boys is your conventional musical where you need all of the full songs to advance the story. I think I really liked what he was doing with making the story more of a biography, and Jersey Boys, the Broadway show, does that too, obviously, which I loved. I just really wasn't very satisfied with the ending. And that's because the story of the 4 seasons is not necessarily the most happy show business story, and I don't think it needs to be portrayed as a happy story. But Clint Eastwood, I think, wanted the audience to walk away feeling that they've seen a happy ending, and I don't really think that's necessarily the case. So I didn't like what he did with the ending.
Well, he ends on a musical number, which is fine, and it's kind of an enjoyable musical number, although it's not all that well staged. And he wants to make you go out on an uplifting note. The problem is that the movie is not uplifting. The show is uplifting, so there's nothing wrong with the show ending the way it does, which is similar to the way the movie ends. However, the movie itself is a very joyless experience.
So are you saying that you think it's joyless because you didn't like how the movie was made and it's joyless in that regard, or do you think just the story is joyless?
It's done in a joyless kind of way for whatever reason. It's an entertaining show business biography, but it's not a musical. And I think they were trying to make the audience, if you end the movie on a high note and you walk out of the theater happy, you'll think you saw something that was possibly happy, but it's not a particularly happy movie. and the ending, as a result, becomes kind of a cheat, even though I like it because it's another musical number, and God knows the movie needs more music.
But that music number just came out of nowhere, and I just don't. It didn't fit.
I tend to agree. It does fit in the Broadway show, but it probably doesn't fit in this movie.
He was going.
Based on the concept, he's.
Well, there was one part right before this giant musical number, and I don't want to say what it was, but I thought it was going to end there because there was a blackout, and I actually thought that was quite a compelling ending. And I thought that if he had ended it there, the movie would have been a lot better. It would have had a much stronger ending. And I don't think, as much as I love musical numbers, I am a huge musical fan, I don't think it was necessary because I think it completely changed the feeling of the entire story that he was going for. And I really liked how he was doing the whole movie.
And oddly enough, what you're referring to, and this gives nothing away really, what you're referring to is also music. But it's a quiet kind of music, and then it bursts into this big production number. And I don't have a problem with this big production number. What I have a big problem with is that there aren't many big production numbers throughout the movie, because the movie needs more music.
But the thing is, how can you have a huge production numbers all throughout this movie? Because this isn't the kind of musical that calls for huge production numbers.
The show does.
But it's not, I don't think it's necessary. Honestly, I don't remember the show that well, so I can't really comment on the show's music.
The show has full numbers. The show also has fragmented numbers, but it has many full numbers. It lets you really appreciate the music.
But are they huge
musical
numbers with singing and dancing, or are they the Four Seasons performing in various venues?
It's both.
But okay.
It's more the Four Seasons performing, but you want to see the Four Seasons performing.
I completely agree with that.
Let me add that the actor playing Tommy DeVito in the movie, Vincent Piazza, who some people might remember as Lucky Luciano in the TV series, the HBO series Boardwalk Empire, is terrific in the movie.
Yeah,
really terrific. He's one of the only. There's 4 members of the Four Seasons, obviously, in the movie, and he's the only one of the 4 that didn't play it in some form on the stage. The other 3 did, and all actors are good, but he's particularly good.
Yeah, I enjoyed all of them. I thought all 4 of them were pretty strong. I also liked Michael Lamenda, who played Nick, one of the other Four Seasons, and I thought he was very good also.
He's like the Ringo of the Four Seasons. He even uses that analogy.
Yeah, he does.
I like that. He's terrific in the movie. Really terrific. Strangely enough, the actor playing Frankie Valli, John Lloyd Young, who was tremendous on the stage and unequivocally deserved the Tony for his performance, doesn't come off as the dynamo he did on stage. It's partly because of the way the film itself works. He's kind of just very middlebrow, and the action just kind of revolves around him. He's just kind of the catalyst for a lot of the action without really, having to do much heavy lifting. But for whatever reason, he's fine, but he doesn't come off as the dynamo he did on stage, because he was really a powerhouse when you saw him in the Broadway production of Jersey Boys. Christopher Walken is in this movie also. He plays a big mafioso, like a Godfather type that the group confides in. And I didn't think his performance was as strong as it could have been. I think he plays it more for laughs, and I think that may have been actually a mistake, especially in the context of the movie having a sense of realism. I think it would have been better if he were more serious instead of kind of like doing it in a winking kind of way.
I agree with that. There was also some subplot revolving around Frankie Valli's family, and I just thought that plot was a little bit dreary, I guess. I don't remember exactly how it was played out in the show, but I just didn't really care about the family, and I know that they had to put it in because it was a big part of Frankie Valli's life, but it just kind of felt like it was forced and inserted because it had to be. And I didn't think it really flowed well with the movie, and I think it actually made that part of the film a little less fluid.
I didn't mind the domestic stuff all that much, but there's a scene involving Frankie and his mistress that's also pretty mundane. The stuff involving just the Four Seasons themselves and the immediate people that they record with or perform with are a lot more compelling than the domestic scenes.
Yeah.
All in all, I'd have to say that It's worth seeing, but they make so few movie musicals anymore that I wanted a full-fledged movie musical and didn't get it. So,
I understand where you're
in
coming
a sense,
from,
I'm very disappointed. I wouldn't say don't go see this movie because I think audiences will still pretty much enjoy this picture. It's an entertaining
really
show
enjoyable.
business biography.
Yeah.
It's just not a musical.
Yeah, and I would definitely go see it because I really liked it. So
there you
I had
go.
a lot of fun with it.
And I wanted to have more fun with it.
Comment, because we want to know what you think about Jersey Boys.
We're going to have some fun at the Jersey Shore right now, so we're going to say goodbye. And
Bye
we'll see you
from
at the
the
movies
beach.
very soon. It's Alan Cylinder
And Chelsea Cylinder.
saying, see you at the movies.
Bye.
Was always there to make you